Hey, get that out of you, man, get that out of you. With a belly full of alcohol, people don't listen to you. We could be sorting out one fight and another fight will happen next to us.
The alcohol was a gateway to all the other drugs. I lost control of my life, so I needed something else to control, you know, and in the end it controlled me.
We don't do anything without alcohol. We celebrate, we commiserate, we marry, we have a funeral. You know, everything we do is alcohol entrenched.
Drinking alcohol has long been a part of Australian culture, but today the country is groaning from the weight of social, economic and health costs because of its love affair with a drink. More and more teenagers are binge drinking and starting from a younger age. And with alcohol-fueled crime straining government resources, authorities want Aussies to sober up. I'm Chau. In this edition of 101 East, we look at this national hangover and ask, what is the real cost of alcohol in Australia?
Australia was a colony which was a convict colony, and rum, which is a form of alcohol, became the way in which the soldiers and people were paid in those days. So we've got a long history of high alcohol consumption.
When Australia was founded, alcohol was accepted as currency. Rum was even used to pay for the construction of Australia's first hospital. It was called simply the Rum Hospital and later became Sydney Hospital. Today, it is a familiar place for Crystal Kelly.
Me and my friends were just dancing on the dance floor, and yeah, there was people everywhere at this stage, and then I bumped into the girl and a couple of words were exchanged, and she basically turned around and then shoved a glass in my face. As I've turned around, she's pushed me on the floor. In that process, I had my hand to my head, holding the skin because there was blood dripping everywhere. My name is Crystal Kelly. I was a victim of alcohol violence. As a result, I have lost the sight in my right eye.
That was in 2007. Crystal still visits Sydney Hospital regularly for follow-up treatments, and it has affected her daily life.
I've had 15 operations. From the initial incident to how I look now has changed dramatically, and I never thought that I would look like this again. I think I've had 4 lots of plastic surgery now. I've had the eye removed. Obviously, it will never be the same. It's like breaking a vase and putting it back together. I have to do things a lot careful now and do different things, like even the simplest thing by pouring a glass of water. I have to hold it at a certain angle so I don't miss the cup. If I hear a loud bang or glass gets smashed on the floor, I automatically, get an anxiety attack, or, people getting aggressive. It automatically triggers back that night, and it takes me right back there on the 4th of November 2007.
My name is Professor Gordian Fulda. I am the Director of the Emergency Department at St Vincent's Darlinghurst in King's Cross, Sydney, Australia. So I've been the boss here for 30 years.
St Vincent's Hospital is located near the heart of Sydney's bar, restaurant and nightclub area.
People used to drink beer and wine. What's changed now, we've moved to spirits and mixers. In other words, it's lolly water, very easy to drink lots of.
A stone's throw away, King's Cross is a famous red light district that peaks on weekends. The constant flow of alcohol keeps paramedics busy, and that's a problem across the country.
People trip and fall, and they break their arms, they break their legs, and then, especially young males, get aggressive through the night, it's the fights. And that's where we get the head injuries, the punches, the black eyes, the people being punched to the ground and actually falling onto the concrete.
Hang on, boys.
I love Sydney!
Especially on a weekend, Friday, Saturday night, it looks nearly like a war zone. The average 15-year-old Australian, especially male, but also female, will have got drunk.
And turning up in the emergency department?
Of course. You get gorgeous young teenage girls with pretty dresses with vomit all over them.
And I'm only 15.
What are you doing here?
I've had a psychiatric since I was 14. I'm 17 now.
Oh my God.
I'll be 18 in a year, like, you know.
Can I sign the camera?
So you're all underaged?
We're all underage, but don't tell anyone.
I wrote my name, this might take, oh!
They won't eat anything before they go out because they don't want to put on weight. If you drink alcohol on an empty stomach, it's a disaster.
I just stacked it. I just stacked it, like right now. Just before you guys actually saw me on camera, I stacked it on the road, on my face.
People should not be able to walk off the street and have free availability of alcohol 24/7. Before 3 o'clock, yes, people get hurt. After 3 o'clock, we get the really bad injuries. It's a finite. Hospital, health, whatever resources, government money is finite. The cost to the hospital of people having a head injury due to alcohol in each year, many millions. That chunk, which is unnecessary spending, right, is not available for other patients.
The figures are staggering. The estimated economic cost of alcohol misuse in Australia is $26 billion a year. This includes medical expenses and loss of wages and productivity. Each year, nearly 70,000 Australians are victims of alcohol-related assault. We are reaching the time of the night when things start to get ugly. Bars in other parts of Sydney are beginning to shut, and those who want to keep drinking will spill over to this part of town.
Up to 70% of our interactions with the public are related to alcohol-related crime. The vast majority of sexual assaults that occur on women occur while the victim is very drunk at the time. Hundreds of our officers are injured every year in dealing with drunken incidents.
We join a police detail on a King's Cross beat. So what signs are you looking out for that might suggest potential alcohol-related trouble brewing?
A lot of the stuff we're looking out for here would be people congregating in an area, shouting, screaming, obvious people moving about quickly. We just had a chat with a couple of blokes who were tackling each other in the street. They're quite intoxicated. I dare say they will be trouble for us a bit later.
How bad can it get?
It can get pretty bad up here at King's Cross. There's a lot of people come into the city, or King's Cross in general, full of booze, alcohol, and then they get refused from a lot of places, can't get a cab home, so they decide to take their anger out on other people. So we get a lot of fights.
Do you get worried?
Yeah, I do get worried up here. There's a lot of potential for stuff to explode up here.
The team gets a sudden request to back up other officers chasing a man nearby. They suspect he smashed several glass windows and displays. Police patrolling the area converge and nail him.
People need to accept responsibility for themselves. They shouldn't leave it to the police, they shouldn't leave it to the hospitals where they turn up injured. So people need to think about that before they get drunk. Is this something that's going to affect me for many years to come? Is it going to cloud my future by banning me from certain professions? And there's some people who have been very severely injured in drunken incidents, and some people have actually died. And I'm sure those who are responsible for those sort of incidents wake up the next morning and say, I really wish I didn't do that.
Just regret doing it. When I think back, wish that I never done that. My name's Taylor. I'm 17 years old and I started drinking when I was 14.
Taylor has been arrested more than 10 times for alcohol-related crimes. The juvenile court put him under a rehabilitation program for teenagers with serious drug and alcohol problems. It's run by the local NGO, Ted North's Foundation. They request that we conceal the residents' identities.
I drink till I can't drink anymore. Probably drink 24 drinks a night, more than 24. Started to fight when I was drinking, fight people and rob people on the street and that.
Did anyone ever get hurt?
Injuries, they were pretty bad, all bleeding and that, broken noses, bleeding mouths.
How did drinking affect your behavior?
Even when I was not drunk, I was pretty violent. And then when I was drunk, it just triggered it. It made me even more violent. I just wanted to fight people.
So how did you get started with alcohol?
Seeing all my family drinking that, all my cousins, my relatives. I screw up around it, so I thought it was alright.
Experts say those with drinking problems often find it leads to drug abuse.
My name is Kieran Palmer. I work as a clinical manager and psychologist for the Ted North's Foundation. We work with the most at-risk clients out there. Also, even if they present with, say, a cannabis dependency or a methamphetamine or ecstasy dependency, alcohol's generally always there in the background.
17-year-old Raymond started drinking when he was 13 and became hooked on drugs as well. He's near the end of a 3-month stint in rehab.
From drinking and drugs, from doing all robberies and that when I'm drunk. Next day I'll end up in the police station or in the boys' home. No, just keep thinking to myself, how did I get here? What did I do?
If we've got young people exhibiting a problematic kind of behaviour, we'll actually get the whole community involved and try to get their peers in the community to actually name and confront this behaviour in a way of actually trying to modify it. So the community serves as a really powerful therapeutic tool in itself.
I feel when...
It helped me feel better. If I do something, that would just help me to do it correctly. So that if I was on somewhere else, they'd judge me, trying to, just keep judging me.
Counsellors for Raymond's PALM program emphasize routine as a key part of the rehab. For example, writing a daily journal.
I'm writing about what I'm going to do after I finish PALM, how I'm going to cope with drugs and alcohol. Yeah, it's what I'm going to do on the outside with my life. I'm going to start playing footy, keep going to the gym, meet new people on the outside instead of the people I use. My name is Raymond. I'm 17 years old. I want to be a famous footy star.
Saturday night, I was playing basketball. All my friends that night were getting smashed and all off alcohol. Age 14 and they were proud, see? Surrounded by negativity around me.
My name's Aidan Kovacic. My name's Chris Ray. We make rap music at Street University.
Think about my future children, I'm no bad influence.
Ted North also runs a Street University program in this converted warehouse. It reaches out to marginalized youngsters with a wide range of courses, including music and arts. Alcohol industry statistics show Australians above 14 consume an average of 10.5 litres of pure alcohol every year.
I just hope no friends go in the cemeteries.
Aidan is 15 and Chris is 17. They don't drink, but they know all about the peer pressure to do so.
Especially from the area I grow up in and the school I go to, good 75% of my friends would drink.
To fit in, you have to conform to the culture. You must drink alcohol along with your group. The attitude towards drinking alcohol is very laid back, So and that's not even from just the youth community, even from, I guess, the adults, the people that we look up to.
Where do they get their drinks from?
Older friends, because they think I look over the age of 18, which I'm not. They ask me to buy because they think I'm 18, I can buy for them. I've been in situations where I've been with friends who they would wait outside, bottle shops where they sell alcohol, and they would ask strangers as they walk in, you know, could you buy us this and that?
Where do they get the money?
I have a friend who gets at least $10 to $15 a day on lunch, and they will substitute their lunch money to buy things like alcohol.
And they will ask you one simple question.
Paul Dillon has worked in drug and alcohol research for more than 25 years. Today he's giving a talk to teenagers at a Sydney girls' school on how to protect themselves from risky drinking behaviour.
Female drinking is on the rise quite dramatically, particularly risky drinking, with 12 to 15, 15 to 16. And then you've got the 18 to 25-year-old young women who are just drinking like we've never seen them drink. And if you look at the time that many young people first use an illicit drug, it's often under the effect of alcohol. But alcohol is a drug. Treat it like a drug. Don't treat it separately.
And that's why Paul wants stricter regulations on alcohol advertising.
I don't think there's one alcohol company that would target underage drinkers. The trouble is that most 15, 16-year-olds think they're 18 to 25, so they sort of capture them anyway. And certainly, you know, putting ads out there that celebrate getting drunk, make them have sexual overtones. Of course, they're going to appeal to young people who are during that, that difficult time.
You in the club with your homie. Bunch of players.
Facing such complaints, the local Bundaberg Distilling Company recently removed this advertisement for white rum. The Alcohol Beverage Advertising Code, or ABAC, is a quasi-regulatory body managed by the alcohol industry, advertising and government representatives. It faces backlash for allowing such ads to slip through. But Stephen Ryden disagrees with the critics of alcohol advertising. He's an ABAC member and also represents Australia's distilled spirits industry.
They don't see how much advertising gets stopped from even going to air or into a magazine. The thing about alcohol advertising is, for an activist, is it's a great thing to campaign on because everyone sees it. Talking about things like the influence of parents, changing cultural norms, things like that, they're much harder for people to actually explain and hence complain about. And alcohol advertising is actually the least of the influences that lead to young people starting drinking. It's for encouraging people to drink my product rather than the other guy's product.
I love it when the alcohol industry says, oh, advertising doesn't sell more alcohol. Well, if it doesn't, why do they do it? You know, realistically, that's the most ridiculous argument.
So hepatitis C damages the liver.
What's not arguable is the harm of alcohol addiction. Professor Ian Webster is a senior figure in Australia's public health sector. He's speaking to Murray McFadden, a former alcoholic. These days, he helps Professor Webster provide support for street alcoholics.
It can damage people biologically, and it can damage almost every organ of the body. It affects the liver with liver cirrhosis. It affects the brain, both in young people at the early stages of their development, but at a later stage with atrophy and dementia. It affects the skin, it affects the blood, it affects the gastrointestinal tract. It's a high risk for cancer.
Professor Webster wants stricter laws so that Australians drink less alcohol.
And how do we do that? One way is we increase the price of alcohol, and that's a special form of taxation. The second thing we want to do is to decrease the hours of availability of alcohol.
The problem with alcohol taxation is it's an incredibly broad sword, you know, it hits everybody. I don't know how much impact it actually has on the really hardcore drinkers who really do like their alcohol far too much.
The state government also believes enforcing earlier closing hours is ineffective.
An early closure would create effectively an underground industry
in unlicensed premises, illegal premises, serving alcohol. The second consequence is simply in quite legal home settings or in parks, people would decide to purchase alcohol, packaged alcohol, and consume them, not necessarily in licensed venues.
The revenue Australia enjoys from the alcohol industry is no drop in the ocean, $19 billion a year. It also provides jobs and will pay $6 billion in taxes this year. So critics question the government's political will to enforce stronger laws on the alcohol industry.
It's not my responsibility to collect tax. It's my responsibility to ensure that the responsible service of alcohol laws are adhered to. And I can assure you the very last thing on my mind are matters of consolidated revenue.
This year the government started a 3-strike scheme for places that sell alcohol. Staff are not allowed to serve visibly drunk patrons and security not allowed to admit them. All it takes is for 3 serious offences to occur over 3 years and the owner will lose the operating licence for life. At least 3 premises have incurred 1 strike so far.
So they need to count drinks, they need to be conscious of who is coming to the bar and who is not. The security staff need to be watchful that people who arrive in their premises visibly drunk and provably drunk on arrival, if they are admitted, then that is a very major offence. When there is a violent incident, that counts as well.
So drinking became part of your...
But laws won't deter the people most determined to drink. We meet Aggie Legenza in Odyssey House, a non-profit organisation that offers drug and alcohol rehab programs. Until recently, her addiction to both created many brushes with the law.
You know, life of crime was sort of part of being accepted in the society, in the crowd that I was, in the environment that I was around.
Aggie tried but failed to kick the habit. Finally, when she realised her children were suffering as well, she checked herself into Odyssey House in October 2010.
I found I could not connect with my children on any, you know, emotional, psychological level. You know, they couldn't trust me to feel safe around me. Especially my older child, she had fear of me. She couldn't come to me with things that bothered her. I've reached a breaking point where I knew I had to do this.
Aggie is near the end of her time at the centre, where residents also take on daily duties to run it. As a single mother, she entered her kids in a parents and children's program.
In most cases, those people who are alcohol dependent have a major impact on other people in their lives. Children who come into the program, usually the first couple of days, they kind of look around to see what's going on. And then the first thing that you observe about them is the fact that they realize that nobody can hit them. The Parents and Children's Program consequently observes the children. They try to assist the children through play therapy and other means of expression.
The program has paid off for Aggie.
My 3-year-old, you know, he's an extroverted, happy little boy. Whereas my 11-year-old daughter, you know, she's not afraid to come to me with things that, you know, may bother her. My daughter's reached an age where she's got friends that, you know, talk about drugs, and that's something that worries me at times. But look, you know, I've gained enough skills and knowledge to know how to approach her. At first I used to think that she's a bit too young for that, but look, you know, what's too young nowadays? My name is Aggie Legenza. I was in an active addiction for the last 15 years. Now I'm looking forward to my new life with my 2 children.
As Australia picks up the tab on lives damaged by alcohol, authorities are in overdrive to heal them and protect those at risk.
Not only do I think alcohol is a problem in harming individuals, but it breaks up communities. It sometimes, and quite often is, the cause of why people become socially disadvantaged and poor, because they lose their capacity to work, lose their capacity to maintain a family.
Experts say Australians are drinking too young, too much, too fast. But there is a limit to what authorities can do with people intoxicated by a deep-seated culture that parents often pass on to children at home. It'll take a major change of attitude towards alcohol to recover from this national hangover.